Welcome back. The time is 9 minutes before the top of the hour. This hour of News and Views is proudly sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities for over 35 years in Africa and beyond. And with that being said, this morning we'll be shifting our focus to Lebanon, a nation grappling with severe challenges. Amid an economic collapse that has plunged millions into poverty, the situation is further compounded by rising tensions and conflict. And for many families, the struggle for basic survival has become a daily reality. On the ground, providing relief and support is the Africa Muslims Agency. And joining us live from Lebanon is Imraan Choonara, the CEO of AMA, who's going to be helping us shed light on, the unfolding humanitarian crisis, the impact of, the conflict, and how AMA is stepping up to provide hope and assistance that is much needed in that part of the world. Imraan, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you here on Salam Media.
Assalamu alaikum, salam, my brother, and yeah, always great to be with you guys at Salam Media, and of course, welcome to the listeners and the viewers of Salam Media, and thanks always for your support. Really, really appreciate it.
Pleasure is all ours. I think first and foremost, you are on the ground in Lebanon. You're in Beirut right now. What's the latest that you can tell us? From what you guys are observing on the ground and some of the pressing, most immediate needs that you've noticed that the people there are in dire need help of.
Salado, I think most people would know by now that this incredible crisis that this whole region has been going through, obviously, and in Lebanon, of course, been drawn into over the last few months. I arrived here on Sunday, and we know now, of course, that there's a ceasefire, of course, as you would have known for sure earlier this morning. But that means that last night and yesterday afternoon was the most intense situation, of all the nights. It's incredible because, of course, leading up to the ceasefire. So yesterday afternoon, most of Beirut was ordered to evacuate. Buildings everywhere were just ordered to evacuate. And so people yesterday afternoon and early evening, just traffic leaving Beirut, just thousands and thousands and thousands of cars leaving Beirut, people trying to find some safe place. If people live near universities, they were running into the university buildings because that's considered a safe place. People were on the beaches, literally, and it's freezing cold. It's not summer here, it's winter now. Just yesterday, I was driving we were coming over from Beqa, and day before yesterday, coming over from Beqa from our school, the Amman School of Excellence, and it was snowing already. I'm looking at a mountain right now, the distance of snow there right now. We're driving just out of Beirut right now. And of course, we're going to the shelter, one of the shelters that AMA is supporting over the last couple of months. And of course, to Amman School again. We're going to a refugee camp, of course, that we support, that many donors in South Africa support. But to give you that perspective, you can imagine last night the fear, everyone knowing that the potential of the ceasefire this morning, but the fear of what is happening last night, because just so many. At one point, I remember there was about 11 or 12 attacks, so to speak, in a 2-minute space of time, like literally within a line. Now, you can imagine how many civilians, the humanitarian trauma that gets created by that. Because, of course, millions of people are civilians. So that's the situation. So the fear last night was, you could feel it in Beirut, the gripping fear of people not sure what to do, where to go, just ordinary people like you and I. But of course, it's winter, so it's freezing cold right now. And like I said, the snow as well. So that adds to the situation. And we're right now on the way to the shelter that AMA has been supporting.
And I think you mentioned something that's quite important. This element of conflict. How much of that aspect has almost exacerbated what was already an unfolding humanitarian crisis and an area which is in much need of intervention from the likes of Africa Muslims Agency. That element of conflict, how much of it has made matters worse, if I can put it simply?
I tell you, you hit the nail on the head because, frankly, let's be honest, Lebanon has not been in a good space for a long time right now. The economic crisis has just crippled the country, lack of a functioning government, so to speak, for many years as well. So it's been difficult for Lebanese people. Many people have fled the country, try to live in other places. Many people depend on their families outside the country, actually, to send them funding because they can't afford basic necessities. Just last night we were having a chat with some people about the fact that what would have costed, the cost of education, the cost of everything has just skyrocketed 200-300% in the last couple of years because of the economic crisis. So they were already on the knees. I mean, the country, the people, and the average person, Sarado, the average person doesn't have huge amounts of savings they can tap into. If you look at the Beirut blast that started again in 2020, you just look at the last 4 or 5 years, Lebanon has been through intense difficulty and just haven't had a chance to stand back up again. They're a nation that's resilient, that wants to survive, and a nation, but they haven't had a chance to stand up again. And that's the challenge. You can imagine happening in South Africa, one after the other crippling situation. And this crisis really just added to that and exacerbated the situation to the point where people are in starvation mode, so to speak, in some areas. The shelter we're heading to right now, for example, most of those people now with the ceasefire are going to try to go back to their homes. But many what do they start? They go back to work. Where do they get income from? What do they get, food from daily? Because at the shelter, they were getting daily food, blankets, medication, elderly people, babies, baby diapers, formula. This is basic life necessities that literally, if a person leaves the shelter today and goes to try to find if their home is still around, literally that person needs money tomorrow morning or today to buy food for their family. So it's not over because it will take a very, very long time for the country to stand up on its feet again. Hopefully, nothing else cripples them in the foreseeable future.
Definitely. Let's chat a bit about how is AMA responding to both the humanitarian needs and also some of these challenges that have been brought on by this conflict. What are the key areas of focus for your intervention right now?
There's twofold. Number one is the ongoing projects, and number two is the disaster relief, as you mentioned now, because of the crisis. So the ongoing projects, for example, we have hundreds of orphans that are sponsored by Southern African donors here in Lebanon. Tonight, I met a few of them on Monday. I'll be meeting a whole bunch of them today as well, and interacting with them to make sure that everything is being done. Because even during this crisis, getting just the sponsorship to the children has been a challenge. And you must remember that their families depend on this money. Their families depend on because they need it for food, etc. But I'm so proud of our team here that have gone to extreme lengths to make sure they get it. Some of the team have put themselves at risk to go out to areas that's so dangerous. But nonetheless, alhamdulillah, so that's the ongoing projects, the orphan projects. Amman School of Excellence, wow. It was closed in September because all schools around the country were closed. And then October, we were allowed to open. So we opened up again. And we've got Lebanese kids, Syrian refugees, Palestinian refugees, all together at that school. I visited on Monday again, operating really, really well. We encourage donors to continue supporting that. Another project, of course, is the shelter. It's snowing, and the other night it was coming. It was just started snowing like crazy. So in the refugee camps tomorrow, I'll be going to a place called Arsal. Arsal is in the very north, near the Syrian border, and there the snow gets thick, and there is where babies freeze to death at night. Old people who are laying on the floor, because remember they don't have beds they sleep on. They're sleeping on the floor. So an old person who cannot move, they ill, they old, they fragile. They lay on the floor. They sleep on the floor, and overnight those tents freeze, and they some of them freeze to death. And there's been so many situations like that. And then of course there's orphan children in the school. The other is a 5-year-old girl, mother and father both passed away. It's an orphan child. So there's a lot of that kind of situations that are here. Winter's coming. It's already setting in. And this is our biggest need right now is the winterization project, because we need fuel, mattresses, thick blankets, clothing, all of this kind of stuff is required for families in the refugee camps constantly.
And to South Africans themselves, and to everyone across the world that's listening and watching this interview right now, how can they go about supporting AMA's relief efforts in Lebanon? During this very, very difficult time. You mentioned the winters get very, very cold in the Middle East, and you have that element of conflict also in the mix. I'm sure there's a lot that the people can contribute to.
Absolutely. Look, I first want to say this, that as South Africans, we know struggle. Of course, we know struggle. We've been through it. Our country still suffers in so many ways. We know poverty. We know it. This is why I feel South Africans have such a big heart to help other people, because South Africans, we know it. And we see it in our own rural communities as well. Let's be honest. We have poverty in South Africa too. We have struggle in South Africa too. We know people who can't go from day to day because of lack of food. We know that in winter in South Africa, also in our informal settlements, we know the struggles. We know that. So because we know it, I know South Africans have a big heart when they see another human being in another part of the world suffering. We have empathy towards it because we've been through it, and we do go through it. And that's why I appeal to South Africans to continue supporting AMA's projects. Go to our website, africamuslimagency.co.za, get onto the winterization projects or whatever you can. And hey, support any NGO that you feel does an amazing job, because I always say, really in the humanitarian space, we're not competing with each other, we're completing each other. So any organization you want to support, but of course I'm going to appeal to you to support African Muslim Agency, because I'm here on the ground. I see the need, I see the team, what we do, I see the fruits, so to speak, of the effort and the sacrifice that South African donors make. And I know there's many people that I need. I understand that all over the world. But right now, and again, you don't have to do everything from your side as a donor, but do whatever you can. Do what you can. We have a responsibility. We're coming up to Christmas, New Year, so to speak, in South Africa. It's summer in South Africa right now. It's beautiful. We're going to have on vacation, holidays, schools are closing, all the kind of stuff. But wait a second. I always feel like, when we're enjoying ourselves, which we should with our families, always spare a thought that there's some other human being somewhere else in the world. It might be your neighbor, it might be someone down the road, it might be someone other part of the world that's also created by the same creator that created you and I, and that person is suffering. Either they're freezing, or they're hungry, or they're destitute, or they need medical support. And you know what? As a human being, one nation, so to speak, we have a responsibility to support each other in whichever way we can.
No, definitely. And I think we're going to leave it on that note. Thank you so much, I think, for connecting with us out in Beirut. I think we'll definitely be catching up with you, as you crisscross the country and you try to leave a footprint. Jazakallah so much. And there's a message for you from a Shamima Doli Sali. And she's saying, Salam, Brother Imran. May Allah keep you and all safe. Ameen. Ameen. So, yeah.
Thank you to you and the team. And may Allah bless you guys and grant you barakah, and take Salam Media and Salam Foundation. Everybody to connect to the Salam Media. Take them from strength to strength. You guys do amazing work for the community, and may Allah bless you guys always and grant you guys success.
Jazakallah so much. That was the CEO of Africa Muslims Agency, Imraan Choonara. Jazakallah so much for chatting to us. And yeah, I think this is a true example of bravery and dedication in very, very trying circumstances. And we wish Africa Muslims Agency continued strength as they work to bring relief and hope to those in Lebanon and across the world who are in desperate need. And to our listeners, please visit AMA's website, www.africamuslimsagency, and get all of the information that you can need. And I think you can also go out to their various social media platforms and search at Africa Muslims Agency to contribute and play your part in this very, very critical humanitarian mission. And I think he mentioned something quite profound, the fact that we're approaching the holidays here in South Africa. It might not be bright and warm today in Johannesburg, but it's summer season. People will be going out to holiday, people will be enjoying the different festivities. Children are done at school, and families will be going out on holiday. But it doesn't take a lot just to spare a moment and to think of someone that has way more less than you, whether it's supporting them, those that are here in South Africa, because as Imran mentioned there, the fact that we have a lot of poor people in South Africa, those in our rural communities, those in the informal settlements, help those, or otherwise, connect with the Africa Muslims Agency and be able to assist those that are maybe a bit far off, like those that are in Lebanon, and we can make a difference, because that's what we South Africans are renowned for all across the world. The fact that we're able to make a difference even in difficult circumstances. The concept of Ubuntu. I am because you are. And we're going to leave it on that note. It's been a wonderful another edition of News and Views with myself, Salalo Makwidiri. Thank you to the team, and thank you to you for staying with us. We'll be with you again tomorrow for the Thursday edition. But from myself, Salalo, and the rest of the team, sharp.
We are here in the middle of a Zahra neighborhood. The whole neighborhood is already destroyed. More than 17 towers are down. Here, as you can see, the firefighters trying their best to help. The people are still under the rubble. A lot of the people.
Join Hamza on his exclusive South African tour as he shares his personal experiences, never before seen footage, and powerful insights on the ongoing genocide in Gaza. This is more than just a talk. It's an invitation to witness Gaza through the lens of Hamza Sha'alan. Don't miss this opportunity to meet the photojournalist who brought Gaza's pain and perseverance to the world in its darkest moments. Follow Salam Media on social media pages for more on this tour and be part of the conversation.